All right, today we are diving deep into the mind of one of history's most, let's say, radical thinkers. We're talking about an ancient Greek philosopher who took a hard look at the universe and came to a conclusion so mind-bending, so completely against common sense, that it's been messing with people's heads for over 2,000 years.
So let's just start with this question. Really think about it for a second. What if this entire chaotic, constantly moving world you experience every single day, what if none of it is real? And no, this isn't some plot from a sci-fi movie. This is the universe according to Parmenides of Elea.
It's obvious, right? Just look around. Trees grow, clouds drift by, people get older. Our senses are practically screaming at us that the most fundamental thing about reality is change. It seems like the most basic truth there is. This is the world we live in. Or at least, that's what it seems like.
And this is where Parmenides just steps onto the stage and throws down a challenge. He presents us with this huge choice, a massive fork in the road to understanding. He basically argued that we absolutely cannot trust the story our senses are telling us. We have to choose a completely different path. He lays it all out with this really clear choice. On one side, you have the way of truth. This path is all about pure, cold, hard logic. And on the other side, you have the way of seeming. You know, the path our senses take us down, which he was convinced was just full of illusions and contradictions. He's forcing us to ask a really tough question. Which path actually leads to what's real?
So let's do what he said we should do. Let's just, for a minute, completely ignore what our eyes and ears are telling us and take a walk down the path of logic, the way of truth. We're going to try to build a whole picture of reality using just one super simple logical idea. And here it is. This is the bedrock for his entire argument. It sounds almost silly, doesn't it? What is. Something that exists, well, it exists. And what is not. Things that don't exist, they're nothing. It's impossible to argue with. But believe it or not, from this one little statement, Parmenides is about to build the entire universe. Okay, so stick with me, because here's where the logic takes over. Let's walk through it. Step 1. If what is, then it could never have been created. Why not? Well, to be created, it would have to come from what is not. It would have to come from nothingness. And Parmenides just told us that what is not is not. Nothingness isn't a thing, so no creation. Step 2, for that exact same reason, being can't be destroyed. It can't just turn into nothingness because nothingness isn't a destination. And then step 3, and this is the big one, being is unchanging. Think about it. For something to change, it has to become something that it is not right now. But that would involve what is not. So true being can't change, ever. And this logic brings us to his wild conclusion. If true reality, or being, is uncreated, indestructible, and unchanging, then it must be a single, unified, eternal, perfect whole. He actually pictured it as a perfect sphere, totally complete, the same in every direction with no beginning and no end. This, he said, is what pure reason tells us reality has to be like. Okay, so hold that thought, this idea of a perfect, unchanging sphere of reality. Now, let's open our eyes again. If that's what's really real, then what in the world is all of this? This world of things growing and decaying and moving and being all different from each other. The conflict is just undeniable when you put them side by side. Logic tells us reality is one. It's eternal, it's unchanging, and perfect. But our senses show us a world made of many things. Everything is temporary, everything is constantly changing, and it's all deeply imperfect. These two pictures are completely incompatible. You have to pick one. And so Parmenides makes his choice. He bets everything on his logic. He concludes that everything we perceive with our senses, every single sunrise, every conversation, every birth, and every death, is not true reality. It's all just part of this grand illusion he called the way of seeming. It's just a really convincing story our flawed senses tell us.
Now, I know what you're probably thinking. This sounds absolutely bonkers. And you're not wrong to think so. But here's the crazy part. Even though it sounds so strange, this argument became one of the most important ideas in the entire history of Western philosophy. It created a huge problem that every philosopher after him had to deal with. So why was this weird idea such a game changer? Well, by drawing this super sharp line between what appears to be real and what is real, Parmenides pretty much invented the field of metaphysics, the study of what truly exists.
All the big names who came later, like Plato, were basically responding to him, trying to solve the puzzle he created. How can this perfect, unchanging reality exist alongside the changing world we see? And maybe most importantly, he was one of the first great champions of logic, arguing that pure reason, not what you see and hear, is the best tool we have for finding the truth. And that's an idea that has echoed through philosophy and even into science for centuries. And that leaves us with a question that's just as real for us today as it was back in ancient Greece. Parmenides forced this choice between two totally different ways of knowing the world. So I'll leave you with this to chew on. When a perfectly logical argument leads you to one conclusion, but the evidence of your own eyes and ears tells you something completely different, which one do you trust?